are these people?
But I do want to talk about Bukele and
he doesn't hate it.
Ecuador. No, I do, because I know we want to get to boats.
Ecuador?
See, I did it again. Not Ecuador. El Salvador. El Salvador. El Salvador.
You're welcome.
Thank you. See, I told you I was, and so funny because I wrote it last night, and I said I'm going to do that on the show tomorrow. I can't
do that. I can't mess it up. I'm going to do it on the show.
I said I'm going to do it on the show, and sure as shit, I just did. Okay, I got to give props to Russell Dobular.
Mm-hmm.
I found this on my Facebook today. Looking through all the memes that'll get me disappeared to a prison in El Salvador. So, and he's got a nice dab rig there too, it looks like. And it's shot. And he's
pretty good. It's clean too.
It is clean.
Nice and clean.
I read an Extreme Arturo one earlier. I've got another one here. Trump, Bukele, and an ugly history in the making. And he talks about El Salvador, not Ecuador, but El Salvador. Sorry, Ecuador. I apologize. Before the Trump admin ignored a judge's order, there were already myriad issues with sending migrants to El Salvador's Terrorism Confinement Center, or CECOT. Ignoring the court's decision is beyond alarming. It throws the nation into a crisis as top officials like Trump's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, keep challenging the courts by saying things like, "We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks." What they're intentionally ignoring is that the U.S. Constitution offers protections for the migrants who were sent to El Salvador. Accusing them of being in gangs for tattoos that refer to a popular reggaeton song by a Puerto Rican Trump supporter on for example, speaks to the dubious claims of gang affiliation based on tattoos. They're profiling migrants, in this case Venezuelans, and labeling them as terrorists for nothing more than culturally relevant tattoos. In one case, a Venezuelan migrant was prepared to prove he had no gang affiliation, yet he was treated as a terrorist anyway, as the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, found joy in Trump undermining the U.S. Constitution, the oversight provided by the judiciary, and nearly all societal norms. He don't give a fuck, because for him, it mirrors much of what he's done in El Salvador. Bukele remains popular for getting crime under control, but has raised many red flags due to his ignoring of the country's constitution in what many say is an effort to consolidate power for himself and his New Ideas Party, which also includes Max Kaiser's funding behind him and all of Bitcoin. Last year, Bukele was elected to a second term despite the El Salvador Constitution prohibiting re-election. And in the process of incarcerating more than 1% of El Salvador's population in hard labor prisons, he's also targeted his critics. El Salvador has been in a state of emergency or martial law for more than 2 years. During that time, many civil liberties have been ignored, as reported by Amnesty International and other human rights groups. But Bukele's wild popularity holds because the country is much safer than it once was. So much so that the Biden administration toned down the rhetoric against him with not just because of his broad popularity, but his willingness to work with the U.S. to curb migration. What a surprise. As Trump, Bukele, and high-ranking U.S. government officials gloated about illegally sending migrants to inhumane prisons in a foreign country, the Trump admin admitted in court on Monday that many of the people sent to El Salvador did not have criminal records, but only because they haven't been in the U.S. long enough, suggesting that the criminal behavior is inevitable because they're Venezuelans, of course.
Oh, of course. Pull that video up at 8:47. Speaking of prisons.
Well, before I do that,
you can just mute it.
This is the sworn declaration about the fact that they had been taking people, innocent people to rot in a prison in El Salvador, including a professional soccer player tortured by the Maduro regime who entered the country legally to seek asylum and has no criminal record in either country.
Yeah.
Awful. All right. On top of that, there's this one All right. Trump just sent 29-year-old Venezuelan migrant Mervyn Yamarte to a gulag-type prison in El Salvador, okay, because his crime has a tattoo that says, "Strong like my mother." Trump's goons initially claimed that that's proof that he belongs to a gang. Mervyn's family fiercely denies the accusations, saying that he's an innocent family man. Trump is invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to do this, which was last used to intern 110,000 Japanese Americans in prison camps in World War II.
Of course.
When they saw a video of Mervyn in that prison, his wife said, quote, "My heart broke in a million pieces because my husband isn't part of Tren de Aragura gang. Okay, I couldn't believe they sent him there. When I saw what I saw in that video was a face of pain and fear." Oh, yeah. All right. You want me to bring up this video at 8:47, so I got to go and do that. Did you happen to queue it up or no?
Yes, I did. You open it up, and then we're gonna skip forward in a bit to like 14:53. So, but like this is literally the location that he was sent to. I think it's called CECOT, right? Yeah, they're inside that prison. This is how they have to urinate. That many men. That's their only two bathrooms. Is in the corner in front of everyone. Right. So not great. That's the water they get to bathe in.
That's where they shower.
All of them.
Plastic dippers in a single shared basin. There's no running water in the cells. Prisoners have to rely on one blue barrel for drinking water. Where they sleep is these metal bunks, no pillow, no mattress. Each prisoner receives just the bare essentials, just a white sheet with a uniform, socks, slippers, and a towel. That's it.
They keep the lights on 24/7.
Yep. 4-level bunk beds stacked tightly. All right. Shaved every 2 weeks by personnel. Long hair, even beards, are unhygienic. And they can hide sharp objects. Right. Look at how many dudes are in like one thing.
So, yeah, this is the hole that you get put in. So, super lovely place. It's a concrete box, right?
Completely
this
dark.
Lovely concrete box here. Completely dark. You get this cistern and a toilet.
Where you bathe and poop. And then
incredibly inhumane.
Goes up to the ceiling and he shows you, they pan up and they show you that the only source of light, now he's got the room.
It's like one little hole.
That's a water bin, their only supply of water. All right, that's the toilet. And it looks like there's still stuff in there, gross, bedpan type of stuff. It looks recently used and dirty, suggesting it was recently used, gross. All right.
So that's the hole. That's your only fresh air.
And fresh air, right. That's the hole.
But anyway, that's enough of this terrible place.
Yeah. So that's this awful place. So there's little doubt that some gang members were sent to El Salvador, but evidence is beginning to surface that shows many were not. These broad roundups and dubious claims of gang affiliation are leading to many U.S. immigrants here legally being targeted, along with some U.S. citizens, for nothing more than looking Latino. One lawsuit alleges that ICE created an administrative warrant after arresting a migrant who didn't have one out for him, making one up after the fact. Using tattoos to target non-white groups and list them as gang members has been a problem for the U.S., across the U.S. for decades. Agencies like CBP, Homeland Security, and ICE embrace the strategy local and state and law enforcement use and have taken it further than ever. For agencies under the purview of DHS, it's a growing practice used to dehumanize and villainize immigrants. Like he said, he showed this Aaron Reichlin Melnick, talking about these men were sent to a hard labor in a Salvadorian prison with no due process, including a tattoo artist seeking asylum who entered legally, a teen who got a tattoo in Dallas because he thought it looked cool, and a 26-year-old whose tattoos his wife says are unrelated to a gang.
Yeah.
When contacting the Department of State about the lack of evidence to claim that any migrants were gang affiliated, a spokesperson would only say, "We don't comment on pending or ongoing litigation," presumably referencing one or all the myriad cases that the administration is facing in court. Despite not commenting, the admission in court by acting field office director Robert L. Cernhass already shows that they have no evidence to back their claims. During a press conference Monday, State Department spokesman Tammy Bruce, and she's a Zionist lunatic ex-Fox News host, she responded to a question about issues surrounding invoking the Alien Enemies Act by reiterating the White House's position, saying, quote, "The White House has been very transparent. Caroline was very clear this afternoon about their approach. Clearly, they feel that this is something they want to litigate, and they're going to, without authority or jurisdiction." This follows a press release from Marco Rubio. Then, meanwhile, just days after Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin visited the White House for the annual St. Patrick's Day celebration, the admin invited Conor McGregor, the Irish mixed martial artist fighter. McGregor was found civilly liable by an Irish court last year for assaulting a woman at a party in Dublin in 2018 and has a history of other allegations against him. We're going to get to that in a second. McGregor's record of making xenophobic comments made his racism-laden rant unsurprising, but it was beneficial for the Trump administration's anti-immigrant campaign. On Monday, the DOD issued a press release about Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's meeting with McGregor. Why? He has no official business or position in Ireland now, but they're discussing how the U.S. and Ireland are both struggling with the effects of illegal immigration. According to the release, McGregor, the rapist, described the issue for Ireland as a threat of destruction from within. Allegedly, the rapist.
Yeah, bullshit.
Never
he's
won.
A fucking right cunt, as the fucking Irish would say.
Never one to miss an opportunity to propagandize and display his unhealthy obsession with the U.S.-Mexico border, Hegseth the drunk chimed in with his conflation of immigration in Ireland with the United States. He employed the widely debunked 20 million migrants conspiracy theory and made comparisons of small towns being transformed by immigration in both countries. Garbage. I'm not even going to read his quote. Hidden in the background of all this is the news about the U.S. sending a destroyer to sit off the U.S. coast near the border. As reported last week, the military buildup at the border is getting more alarming every day. A press release from DOD says U.S. Northern Command, or NORTHCOM, deployed the USS Gravely, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, to the Gulf of Mexico on what it says is a scheduled deployment. While the press release claims the destroyer will be involved in the interdiction mission of the many of the drugs that are coming in, according to the Joint Staff Director for Operations Air Force General Alexis Grinkovich, the growing U.S. military posture at the U.S.-Mexico border should be noted as the rhetoric about immigration gets more intense and the actions by the administration get more extreme. This mirrors what the fuck happened before Nord Stream blew. We had operations in that area in the Baltic Sea. We sent the Kearsarge in there. The minute they left, things go boom. How about that? Go figure. And again, support Arturo and Decolonized Journalism. Subscribe for free or upgrade to a paid subscription. Please support independent media. We do need it more than ever. I don't see many people reporting this from a Spanish perspective, a Latino perspective. I greatly appreciate Arturo's perspective on this one. Apologies there, Arturo. Good dude, good writer, and he needs our support. We need to support guys like this. Again, like I mentioned about that letter and about sworn declarations about innocent people rotting in prison in El Salvador.
Who are these people?
Thank you to whoever did that.
Hey.
Appreciate you, fam.
That's Kamishwari Kate.
Thank you again, Kate.
Listen to my latest playlist at Mixcloud, Third Transition Media / Leftover Music Without Borders.
Nice. Decolonize your mind. Yay, thanks, Kate. Chat. Yeah, drop that in the chat. Trump admin last night admitted that many of the people sent to do hard labor had no criminal record. Stunningly, they argue that because they don't know much about them, that justifies denying due process. Wow. Unbelievable. Excerpt comes from this declaration, which claims that ICE did careful vetting of each person to determine that they were a gang member, then fully admits that they don't know for sure whether they are because they don't have good information. Okay. Yeah. And so we are certainly demonetized for that, but mentioning, and I don't want to read through it because it's a long article, but Alan MacLeod over at MintPress News. Alan is an Indie Media Award honoree, as is MintPress. All right. He wrote a long piece about McGregor going to Washington and exposing all of that, his racism, his violence, his history. Okay, Ireland resisting that far-right surge so far. Read that for sure and support Alan in his work and read MintPress News. Absolutely. And we're definitely not getting remonetized for stuff like that. So if you are able to, out of means, please, please. I hate begging and I hate doing this.
Money, please.
That one. We could use some help. Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, even Substack if you must. But please try to do one of the other three if you can. The reason being that they don't take very many fees. We end up with the most possible money. If you super chat on my channel, you are able to. YouTube takes 30%. If you Rumble rant, they take 50%. Now, you could Rumble subscribe to the channel, the little red button that says subscribe with the little red gift. They give us all of that. So that's cool. You can do that. But again, Cash App, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. And that worked. Use it this week. And thank you so much to Sean. And thank you so much to Kamishwari Kate. And thank you so much to Charlie Mack Friday night and to Colin Care Bear and everybody else that contributes. It's incredible. Thank you. It really helps, and it really helps, keeps us going. If you're able to, Cash App, $Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. That's with an IE. Support independent media. We need it more than ever. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
All people are afraid. No one knows what they're doing. Everything is getting worse. Some people deserve to die. Your money is worthless. No one is properly dressed. At least one of your children will disappoint you. The system is rigged. Your house will never be completely clean. All teachers are incompetent. There are people who really dislike you. Nothing is as good as it seems. Things don't last. No one is paying attention. The country is dying. God doesn't care. Shh.
Good night, everyone.
Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.